Hey there, it's Abith here, and let's see what comes out. I have this feeling to speak a little bit about the concept of health, because there's so much buzz around this, and you know, I just think particularly in the last years of, for me, a very distorted way of looking at what's healthy. Particularly, I mean, it depends on where you're standing, right? But a lot of what I saw in the last few years was like, this has nothing to do with health. So, what does this really mean? And I feel like, first off the bat, it's important to put up front the primordial importance of differentiation, because what is healthy for one person may not be for another. And so the differentiation of each body knows what it needs. It knows what it needs at every moment. It just knows what it needs. And one thing that I feel, and I've noticed in myself in my own process over the years, is how much our mind gets involved in trying to decide what's healthy for the body. And the body knows what it needs. The mind can learn, can watch and learn, because the master, it's this is the master. This knows exactly what it needs. And this is over the last over my process around health, illness, chronic pain, to the different things that I've experienced, gone through, investigated, trial and errored around. I've found, like, there needs to be humility from this mind, in that it's the body that knows what it's going through. It's the body that has a reason for why it's going through it, and the mind hasn't got a clue. So it has the possibility of learning. And particularly in this last wave, or I could say that this mutational pulse that I've been in around the body moving in a direction that is healthier for it. Wow, I'm just the witness. When I say I, it's like this personality is really just the witness, because this body, is such a master. Wisdom, so much wisdom. And I am splenic, so there is spontaneous intuition or instinct, taste for what is not correct and what is healthy. I have almost the whole stream of taste defined in my chart. So, if my mind can get out of the way a little bit, the body just knows. This body knows, and it has its own logical way of moving in a direction of health. So then what is health? And I like the keynote for the spleen of feel good. Yeah, feel good. Where can I move from where my center is something that feels good? And I really also like this idea of center. Where's my center? Because I can move out of center to come back to center, but like the body is always, in terms of gravity and mass, always is in nervous system, fascial, muscular, all of this connection with its center, to make moment by moment decisions of how this joint needs to be placed, where there needs to be more contraction or elasticity, to deal with load, to deal with pull, to deal with not falling, to deal with injury that I've had emotionally, physically, mentally, whatever, that has placed compression in the body so that my center is now someplace else. And the body knows, oh, no, that's the center. So now we need to move this way or that. So just in the same way, physically, there is, you know, kind of this emotional place, you know, and I say that not being emotionally defined, but an emotional person has a center where their wave is not up and their wave is not down. It's someplace in neutral, right? And the neutrality is not consistent, not in any way, shape, or form, emotionally, mentally, physically, whatever, but it's there. And the body is aware of it. So health is just this capacity to move away from it and come back, move away from it and come back, and to have a center point, a neutrality point that is comes back to differentiation. For me, it's a clear transmission of the unique frequency, right? That is my center. That is my center. That is my neutrality, is that place in me where my frequency is clear. And so physically, my frequency, you know, the auric frequency, the emotional frequency, the mental frequency, the willpower, whatever it is, you know, and that's why it's so differentiated. Now, I'm speaking about something that I'm still really processing, and, you know, I'm not mentally defined, so I you know, I can have all sorts of kind of thoughts. I'm just speaking from really the experience that I have, and my thought process about it can completely change over time. But I had, you know, like a lot of people, a very, for me, distorted way of thinking about health before. So health is that you get all your supplements, that you have, you know, clean water, that you have the right food, that you have and this is health. No, health is the capacity of my body to move in and out of its center, and for that center to be clear and clean, and not to be a distorted center. So if I'm living, you know, and I'm going to take this into the auric field, if I, as a classic non-energetic projector, splenic projector, am living my life as if I were a manifesting generator, I've created a false center. So that's a distorted frequency around a false neutrality. You know, that's not healthy, because now I'm always trying to come back to a place that actually isn't me, you see. So cleaning what's not you is part of getting healthy for me. Again, everything I say, take it with a grain of salt. It comes from my perspective as a splenic and G center projector. The three centers, spleen, G, throat. You might not have any of those, so you might not relate to anything I say. And that is completely fair, because we all have a differentiated perspective. So I'm just sharing from where I stand, what my experience is, what I see, and you take it or you throw it out. That's it. And I say this also because of my experience around the knowledge of the 5 biological laws from Germanische Heilkunde, or the New Germanic Medicine. And this is, I mean, it's revolutionary. It throws the whole medical package, like turns it upside down, because all of that, you can throw out 80-90% of the medical allopathic model. It has no relevance, because it's not based on anything except for hypotheses and statistics around a homogenized model. Well, we're all differentiated, and the 5 biological laws are a way that bioforms work, but in a differentiated way, because they each have certain perspective. Like, I have my perspective on life, the way that my psyche looks at life, the way that I react to life, that might not be the same way that somebody else reacts. So, you know, this has also been a huge lens for me in changing the way I think about health. So health for me is not anymore about making sure I have all the supplements, or making sure I eat all the things that you're supposed to eat. My body chooses what it eats, you know, and if I have symptoms of what's called a disease or what they call illness, I know that I am most likely in the second phase of a biphasal biological program that the body runs to deal with the way that my perspective is shocking me with life, or that life is shocking me because of the perspective I have. And sometimes it's not just about the perspective, it's just about like life shocks you, and then the way that you perspective that shock will define where it hits in the body. And maybe one day I'll go into that a little bit more. But you can also, if you're interested, you can go to my website. I have a whole page about Karmana Shahal Kunda. I explain the 5 biological laws. I have some links in there, and it will completely change the way that you look at things. I believe it has the potential to. Maybe you look at it and you're like, nah, okay, then it won't change anything. But it is highly mutative, just like human design is highly mutative. And that mutation is a complete, for me, change, this turning upside down of the way I think about health. So health for me is not about not having symptoms. Health for me is not about not having a disease. Health for me is that my body could deal with that conflict shock that I lived. It could make the necessary changes to give me the therapy I needed to deal with that conflict shock, and then resolve and come back to center again, which in Karmana Shahal Kunda is called normatonia or eutonia, so the normalized version of yourself, which you're never in for very long. You go out, you come back, you come out and come back. So health is that adaptability. Again, I'm saying that as a third line, so adaptive. If you're not third line, you might not relate to that. But the whole material plane, the world that we live in, is really third line. I mean, it is about things changing, adapting, trial and erroring this. It really is the line that describes what it is to be on this material plane. So bodies are more or less adaptable, depending on what kind of body you have. Mine is an extremely adaptable, transformational body that lives in transition. So you can see I'm really built for changing. But so there you go. Just to give you my perspective, what I say comes from where I'm standing, and where I'm standing has to do with the type of body I live in, the type of body that this is I live in. It just, sometimes words just don't really work because who is I? Anyway. So let's see. So a summary, because I don't feel like I'm getting into much detail. I'm kind of giving an overall of some things that have been floating around inside me as I've been experiencing life from a different perspective, based on trial and erroring different bodies of knowledge, and finding where a foundation is solid, and really diving deep into investigating that and proving it to my skeptical mind, my skeptical head. So yes, health. I think we just need to be a little bit more flexible in what the way that we're looking at health. So it's not about having perfect no disease, because disease actually is a non-word. It has no meaning. Unless you want to say dis-ease, you're not in ease. Well, even that doesn't really have meaning when you understand the 5 biological laws, that anything that is symptoms in the body is just a result of your body dealing with the shocks that you live and making changes to survive and thrive in that experience. And so then you realize, okay, well, actually, it's very healthy that I have symptoms, because that means I have a body that can help me deal with a morsel conflict, not being able to digest something because it makes me oh so angry. And so then my body can help me digest that. Or, not being able to being fed up with something. So my body can help me deal with that, whatever it is. Again, I don't feel like going into details at this moment. Go look, Karmana Shahal Kunda, Nova New Germanic Medicine, or Germanic New Medicine. So yes, it's just differentiated. So I'm saying this also because of what you will find out there online is so homogenized. Even the alternative health, even when you look at movement, when you look at anything related to body, it's just our minds creating homogenized things to press upon the body. And what I have seen in my experience is that if my mind can chill out a little bit, my body goes after exactly what it needs when it needs it. Sometimes my body is eating fat. And then it's like, don't want any of that stuff. Now I just want veggies. Now I just want fruit. Today I don't want to eat. So my body knows what it needs. And if my mind says, oh no, you're supposed to have your vitamin C pill and you're this thing and you're that thing, well, that's my mind making up a story about something it knows nothing about, because it has no connection. Like my conscious personality mind has no connection to all of what's going on cellularly, has no idea. But my body mind knows. My body mind is regularly regulating that and knows exactly what it needs, what it doesn't need, when it wants to drink or eat this, when it wants a supplement or not, which at the moment is pretty rare for me. And recently my body took me into, okay, now we need to release, actually it's more hydrating, decompress fascia here. Okay, now that that's decompressed, now we need to start working on getting to center. So now it's time to put in some movement. And the self massage is not going to go any further until you get some movement that helps the nervous system remember where it is. And like this, I've watched this process over the last month or so that I've been in and continue to be in, and I just marvel at like how my body every step of the way has gone after what it needed. And it was like, oh, now I need to relook at that method that I looked at a couple of years ago that didn't really fit. Now we're ready for that. Okay, so now all of a sudden I find myself delving into this movement method or philosophy that is exactly what the body needs. And so I want to throw out there, this is an exploration. Again, I'm going to speak about exploration because I'm a third line discovery, right? You explore and you discover. So again, take it with a grain of salt. But each being needs to find out for themselves what works and what doesn't work. So listen to somebody, and then let your body decide if that's for you or not. Listen to somebody telling you what supplements to take, and then let your body decide if that is or not for you. Listen to somebody tell you how to move, and let your body decide if that is or if that's not for you. Watch a video about that, do this, and then let your body decide if it's for you. And I would say you can let your body decide if you even need to watch that stuff or read about that stuff or go to that class. Just because everybody says that yoga is good for you, Pilates is good for you, or whatever is good for you, might not be good for your body. Just because they tell you need to do 1 hour 3 times a week of no, maybe that's not for your body. I have a passive, non-energetic body that likes to move, but I'm not built for doing hard workouts that often. Every now and again, it's like I can feel my body. Okay, we need to push the heart. Okay, we're doing that, but it's not my normal. And so I've let go, and I have gate 5, fixed rhythms. So my mind is really like, we gotta fix a routine. My body's like, you just watch, because the routine is not going to be what you think it is. And letting go of the supposed tos around health and wellness and exercise and self-care and all of this, I feel is really important. And your process is your process. I'm splenic. I have really these instantaneous awarenesses of what to do to feel good. You might not be splenic, and you might need a nice, healthy, and when I say healthy, I mean a non-distorted splenic person around you to kind of give you that support of feeling good as you are in your process of finding feel good in your body. That might be something that you need. I don't really need it. I go through all of it pretty much alone. Every now and again, I need maybe a little support, but recently it's not been live support. It's just been digging into things that I had started to dig into before, but never fully investigated. And then now it's time. And so I watch my body finding its own way around the use of these methods and ideas and philosophies. But I'm a 1-3 splenic projector. I'm pretty, single definition, I'm pretty much self-contained in that particular way. So throwing it out, the idea of anarchy, in other words, anarchy is destroying what doesn't work, right? Destroying this, challenging this so-called authority of what needs to rule your life, and saying, well, no, maybe that doesn't need to rule my life. And perhaps my body knows something that my mind doesn't know. Just perhaps my body that created itself, that built itself in the womb, that started as a single cell and went and folded itself in and up, inside itself and around, and created a complexity that we still don't fully understand. And if our minds don't fully understand this complexity, then how the hell do you think that your mind knows what to eat, how to exercise, what to do? Maybe your body knows. Maybe, just maybe, your body knows. An exploration for you.